All right. I think we are live. I'm having a hard time with my... I'm having a hard time with my comments. I don't see any, but if anyone's out there, hit me with a comment and let us know we are live. Because I think it just said start recording or something.
Oh, yeah,
we're good.
Live.
We're
live. Okay,
We're live.
all right. That's all that matters. Let's see. Why am I not showing...
Do you have it
Comments.
on comments or private chat or recording? Which one do you have it on?
Let's see.
Oh,
Comments.
We
I
got
see
Kale.
it, Kale.
Hi, Kale.
Hey, good morning, Kale. All right, now we're set. Everybody, welcome. I am so thrilled everyone is here. We are here to celebrate the lady of the hour, dropping her fourth book in the Riverfall Chronicles officially today.
Yes.
And it is such a celebration. I am so thrilled. I was telling everyone, Tori got me to read Rick Wirewatch. It was my first indie read ever. It is one of my favorite indie series, even though I've only read the first two. I know. I'm not caught up. I will be soon. And it was such an amazing ride for me. I can't wait to celebrate you, Jackie, and Riverfall, and indie publishing in general, because we have, across the bottom row here, we have 3 indie published author. Across the top row, we have 2 booktubers that are amazingly supporters of indie publishing. So I can't wait for everyone to celebrate tonight. And what would a night like this be without some prizes? I have been sitting on this for far too long. My fellow guests, this is what you are playing for and what you can possibly walk away with at the end of this celebration. Andrew, from Wizardly Reads, keeping everyone magical. I'm so happy you are here, my friend. Say hello, great supporter of Indie Press. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I'm rearing and ready to go. We had the live stream jerked away from us at the last second last night.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited that it's happening today. So it's gonna be fun.
Kay, the most perfect voice on BookTube and also an amazing supporter of indie publishing. How are you?
I am great, thank you. And I don't know about that first statement, but the second one's true.
Oh, the first statement is absolutely true. Dr. Chase, my friend, how are you?
I'm doing very well, John. It is a pleasure to be here, and you can call me Philip.
By the end of this night, I'm going to get there. Tori, the person that got me to pick this book up, I'm telling you, my first foray into indie pub with your book and getting me to pick up this one, and just one of the first people to welcome me to BookTube, along with Andrew. I'm so happy you were here. The Beanie Queen herself, how are you tonight?
I'm so excited to be here. When it was scheduled for last night, I wasn't going to be able to make it. So I was selfishly very, very excited when you guys rescheduled. So I'm just thrilled to be here.
When the power went out here, I went, Tori.
I can neither confirm nor deny.
Jacquelyn, I hear you had a wonderful launch day. I am so thrilled that you approached me to do this party. This means so much to me that you would trust me to do this. I look to have an amazing celebration for you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you guys, all of you, for being here and participating, and for being such big champions for indie publishing, and for saying a lot of kind and really too kind things about the Wick Wirewatch. And it's incredible. And I did have a great launch. So thank you for everybody who, did the retweets and bought a copy. And I sold more than I planned. And every day it continues to blow my mind on how this is doing. So thank you all so much. I couldn't do it without any of you.
That is an amazing thing, selling more than you planned. That has to be a great feeling for day one.
Yep.
So, okay, I've stalled enough. Andrew, Kay, Philip, and Tori, here is what you are playing for. One of you, by the end of this celebration, will be in the Riverfall Chronicles because there will be a future character named after the winner tonight.
Okay. Tori, can you leave again to up my odds?
I'm sorry, what?
How can you win this, you're asking me? Okay, this is what's going to happen. We all know from being friends with Jackie and talking with Jackie, a couple of her big influences, big inspirations on this series were Charles Dickens and even the musical Oliver. I am going to do my absolute best to just slide in some lines from Oliver into regular conversation, or slide in some Dickens quotes into regular conversation. The first one of you four, when you hear this and recognize either a lyric from Oliver or a Dickens quote, to give me jazz hands, gets a point.
We have to do this.
I don't have a
Absolutely
buzzer for you.
diabolical.
This is actually deaf applause.
This is all a diabolical plan to get the erudite Dr. Chase to do Bob Fosse jazz hands on my channel.
Which none of us get it.
So
Right? The pressure.
We
I've
do
got-
we get minus points if we prematurely do this?
no, I just enjoy the heck out of it. So if I've got quite a few here, so even if we just get one of the night, I'm sure we're gonna give that away, and we're also gonna give some amazing things away to the people in the chat. Why don't we try and do something like that right now? If somebody in the chat is a fan of Riverfall Chronicles and they have read them all on ebook, but they have read all three, and they're totally caught up, and they're excited for book 4, and you've read them all on ebook, hit us up in chat. Because we're going to do something special for you. So, we're going to watch. Oh, where is love? Where is love? Where is love?
Got a jazz hands moment.
Andrew just got a point. I had to sing it.
I was just like, is that it?
I had to sing it, but Andrew got a point. Okay. Now I'm all tangled up. Okay. Jacquelyn, let me ask the first question to you. How was it writing book 4? Was it a breeze? Are you sunk in so deeply into the series now? Did it take a little bit of extra work? Was this one easy? Was this one hard? How did it go for you?
Oh, and now the conversation is going to take a sudden heavy turn with this question. Well, first of all, at this point, it's very easy to get back into it. It feels like I never left, and they're all just waiting for me to walk back in the room and start taking notes again and continue on with their lives. The more books I write, the more easily it comes and the more naturally it flows. Book 4 was different because let's see. I was just wrapping up the final draft of book 3 when my mom got sick with cancer.
Oh, wow.
And I remember what chapter I was working on when I got the call. And then a couple months after that, she was gone. A couple months after that, I also got moved to the middle of West Texas, where I did not know anyone. No family, no friends, new base, new job, new office, new everything. Mom was gone. And so it was like the whole world was just spinning and out of control and topsy-turvy. And this book was a hugely stabilizing, powerfully centering force for me. I threw myself into it like it was a life vest, because it was in some ways.
Wow.
It was really there when I needed it, and the characters were there when I needed them, and I know a lot of people, when they go through a tough time, they might turn to more destructive pathways and like alcohol or something like that. But for me, I was all in the work, and that was my experience writing it, and it did a lot. And I think all of you might agree that those of you who write, that it's very cathartic and therapeutic. It can be very much. Of course, it's also important to reach out when you need help from other people, which I did do, but those Saturdays or those nights when it was just me and I was really struggling, the writing was there and the book was there, and it meant everything. So that's the answer to your question.
Wow, that was, well, I mean, thank you for opening it. That was enormously powerful for you to share that. I understand what you're saying. I think, do you feel like you were able to channel that into the work? Do you feel like the work in book 4 is at a different place than the first 3 because of where you were as an artist in your life's journey while you were working on it? I mean, can you look back on it that way?
Absolutely. I think that was inevitable. And I think now that I've told all of you that, I think now if you read it, you'll probably pick up on it. It's not, I didn't want it to be the whole theme of the book. I wasn't using it like this is, well, now this book's going to be all about grief. I stuck with the original plan. I already had an outline what it was going to be about years ahead before this happened. I already knew what plot points I was going to hit, but some of the conversations between some of the characters, some of the feelings, some of the thoughts, it was really, it's all the richer for it.
Wow, that is amazing. Chicken Amy 4, let me know, please, if you've read them on ebook. I'm looking for someone that's read all 3 on ebook. So I know how this, let's just open up to the panel a little bit. I know how this kind of hit me reading these first couple books, especially the second. We'll get to that in a little bit. It was my first indie read, I say, but Andrew and Kay and Tori, you guys read a lot of indie pub, as you do, Dr. Chase, as well, Philip. And what was it about this, and especially when you were judging for SBFB 09, Dr. Chase, what was this about this series that kind of set it apart somewhat for you? We'll start with Dr. Chase.
Sure, yeah. It was one of my favorite reads from SPFB 09. Of the 39 books that I read for that contest, it stands out as there are 3 that really stood out to me. And one of the things is the quality of the prose. It was just outstanding. I really felt that, Jacquelyn, that you have a very distinct authorial voice, which is not something that comes easily it usually takes time to develop something like that. So I don't know if you had written other books before this or not, but I felt, wow, there's a really distinct voice here, and I like it. I recognized the Dickens influence, and I loved it. I felt that you had vivid characters who also had their own voices in here. Ink just absolutely he sprang right off the page for me, and the other characters as well. Really, it was just a great job with the characters, an intriguing world as well. Just had me. There was a sense of mystery right from the start that I enjoyed. So it was a really strong hook in the beginning. I thought to myself, wow, this person really writes well. This is usually, within the first 10 pages, I feel like you can often tell, and just something will hit you in the beginning, and you'll know, wow, this person has really devoted time to this craft. And I felt that really showed as I read the Wickwire Watch. So I just loved it. The experience of reading that. It was full of just great spirit and some terrifying moments as well. I thought it was a fantastic read, and doing something a bit different too. It's always fun to find something that's a bit fresh, doing things a little bit differently. I just thought it was fantastic.
So, yeah, I mean, there are books of which the backs and covers are by far the best parts, but this was not one of them.
Is that a jazz hands moment?
Andrew's gonna get another one.
So Dickens has a specific cadence.
I'm doing my best to hide it. I guess I'm doing well with everyone but Andrew. So Chicken Amy 4 is a beta reader, so she must have kind of a good relationship with you. So what I'm gonna do is where
there was Deb Reads as well. Read all 3 on ebook.
Really? Was she?
So I wouldn't give Chicken Amy the codes.
Okay.
Because she is my
no,
sister.
I'm not thinking of the codes here. What? Come on. She can get whatever she wants. Deborah reads,
Okay.
but there was someone that was a little bit faster than Deborah reads, I thought. Keith Gilbertson came in, I think. Yes. Yep, all ebook for Keith. So here's what we're going to do for Keith. He is a fan. He has read the entire series up to date, only on ebook. So, Mr. Gilbertson, if you will check the description box, you will see a link to Jacquelyn's website. You will get in touch with Jacquelyn through that website, and she is going to get you all 3 books in physical form signed by the author for you, sir, since you are that level of fan and you are caught up on the series and you have only read them on ebook.
Wow. Congratulations, Keith. Wow.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
kidding.
Thank you, Keith. Thank you.
So, Andrew, what was it about this series that kind of set it apart for you, my friend?
So it's funny. Tori and I, we kind of did this at the same time. We were actually, I think we buddy read it. But we were doing a vlog where we were going through and we were just trying various SPFB09 books. And I downloaded Wickwire and I just read the first line and I immediately messaged Tori and was like, you have to read this. This has to be one of the ones that we try the first chapter for. And one of the things that makes Wickwire special is it's got a great hook. It grabs your attention instantly because it's such a strong opening line. And then you get rewarded with this just great world, something like Philip said, that is unique and kind of fresh that you don't see a whole lot of. Not a lot of people do the Artful Dodger and then kind of just zhuzh him up into April Featherfield. And then just the magic system, the fantasy races, and the threat that we are facing is just all incredibly unique, and I loved everything about that.
Kay, same question for you.
Yeah, I remember when I was picking up the Wickwire Watch, I was actually in a reading slump, and I was, dipping my toes into different books, trying to see what would catch me, and that one caught me. Before I knew it, I was a few chapters, 4 or 5 chapters in, and I could not put it down. And since reading that, I don't think I've been as captured by a book that quickly and invested in the world. It was just so charming. And then all the elements that everyone else has mentioned too, just up the antes. And then you get these wonderful themes of humanity, judgment, and all these other aspects that make it, you want to root for characters, but you don't know. Yeah, there's that doubt there as well. So it kept me wanting to read, wanting to know more. I just kept getting more and more invested, and it just it hooked me, and I've just been enjoying the ride ever since.
Before I get to Tori, let me have somebody in the chat that has not jumped into Riverfall yet, hasn't tried it yet. Is there anybody out there that's watching? Because we're being vague. We're going no spoilers tonight. Is there anybody out there that has not tried it yet? Hit us up in chat. Tori, what was it for you that I tell you, I'm so glad you're here, Tori.
Yes.
I do anything for your smile. Anything. Andrew was first. You guys.
I was waiting for it.
I am so
great.
focused on that question. I was like, what? So for me, I actually remember I was visiting, we were staying at a friend's house when I picked up Wickwire, and I read the ebook. And I started it, and very similar to Kay, I couldn't put it down. And it was one of those things where I was like, hey guys, thanks for letting me stay at your house, but I need to read this book. And I really appreciate when an author can elicit so many different senses of atmosphere in the same story. So you have this very epic, it feels very epic, but it's also gaslamp, and it's also a little bit cozy. And it's also like, there's so many different, I love the sense that Jackie just looked at this and was like, this is the story I'm telling, and it's going to fit in whatever atmosphere / subgenre it wants to. And also The Artful Dodger is one of my favorite fictitious characters ever. And so Inkwell was an instant, easy protagonist for me to fall in love with. And I'm also a massive Motley Crue fan. So that also was a huge perk for me. And I don't know, it was one of those stories that just, it felt so different and so unique and immediately checked so many boxes of things that I love to read. And when I started Spider Key, that was when it really kind of sunk in that it felt like coming home, even for me as a reader already, where I loved these characters so much. They felt so real. They felt so like, it's so obvious when an author has just spent so much time with their characters and their world that it just, it sucks the reader right into that same kind of atmosphere. And it's a really beautiful experience.
Yeah, I feel so much of the same way on all that. Sam, if you will get in touch with Jackie through her website, if you have not given this a try, she is going to give you a code for the first 3 books on audio through Spotify. That way you can give this series a try. Combative Robot Guy, she will do the same for you.
Yes, just go to my website. You'll see contact. It's like one of the last tabs on the top. Just shoot me an email, let me know, and I will. Yep, first 3 books in the series, you'll have the audiobooks. And what do you guys think about the audiobooks who have heard them?
Oh, they're amazing.
So good.
Yeah.
There you go.
Fantastic.
I want to ask you a little bit, Jacquelyn. You've just been through it. I kind of want to get some stories. You've had a little bit of time away from being judged by people like the erudite Dr. Chase. What was the whole process like of going through Spiffbo? Was it the best of times? Was it the worst of times?
Yes.
Andrew again!
I've given up at this point. I don't think anyone's picking Andrew.
Why would you go with one of his most famous lines?
I'm trying to give stuff away here! I'm blowing stuff off the bareback walls. I'm giving stuff away.
I'm already thinking of his character's name, like Andy something,
I was just thinking wizard. He's the wizard in there somewhere.
He is a wizard.
You could call him Wizzy, maybe.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Hey, you know what, Philip? Only you get to call me Wizzy.
So, Jacquelyn, how was it going through Spiffbo? Was it as chewing down to the knuckles as I would imagine it would be?
It takes you through every single emotion that you can imagine. Absolutely. And you really have to keep a good head on your shoulders and keep grounded and focus on what it really is about, which is about spreading the word about indie books, which it does fantastically. I saw there were a couple other groups who were doing kind of judging alongside it. Other groups who decided, hey, we're going to judge all these Spiffbo books too, and the ranking came out completely different from the official ranking. So any 10 people that you grab, whatever group of them, the ranking will be, the numbers will be completely different.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. The Master of the Void came out 10th in the contest, which was one of my favorites. And another judging group, it came number 1. Totally.
Wow.
Totally upended. Yeah. And if you Spiffbo is enormously important, but if you think it's the be all end all, you can get crushed, and you can feel that, and you can take it to heart. So you have to have a healthy outlook on it. But I am so incredibly grateful for it. It's done a lot of great things for me, and I couldn't be more pleased. I won't go through it again. I won't put myself through that again. I'll leave room for others to enjoy the experience.
Sure. Yeah. That seems fair if you made it all the way to the finals. Yeah.
But I do want to emphasize one, and you're absolutely right, Jacquelyn, about the idea that you just take any 10 different people and the scoring would be very different. But I want to emphasize the fact that you made it to be a finalist. That actually means a lot.
Sure. Oh yeah. I don't mean to discount that. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't think you did, but I just think that people should realize your book was a finalist. It was picked from 300 books.
Yeah.
To be one of 10. And that's not an accident, I think.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that people paid attention to those books that they were going through, and yours stood out, you know, for that group of judges. So I can't remember which group your book was in.
Weatherwax.
Weatherwax.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was gonna write if it wasn't a finalist.
Same.
I thought it had a chance.
We were
to take
ready.
That whole thing. Yeah, I really did. But I think that's such a perfect example of. I mean, you know, art is so it's so personal.
Yeah.
Arts and lit are so personal. Whoever reads it is going to bring themselves and their soul and their baggage and their history to it. And so, I mean, rankings I mean, they're just going to be so completely different over and over again. So what a beautiful way to look at it, Jackie, you had of, you know, this is about getting indie publishing on people's minds, in people's mouths, and books in people's hands, you know.
Is that one?
No, that was all me.
That's all you? You can write that down.
That was all me.
Write it down. Write it down.
I mean,
I don't
Dickens
remember-
might have said something like that.
He probably said something like that. Well, okay, let me open up to some of the other indie authors here. Well, there's so many, not just who we're playing with tonight with our game, but there's so many influences that I mean, maybe it's just me, but that I see in the Riverfall Chronicles. And you can see a life lived, and you can see an artist like just collecting things as you go. No, Andrew, no, not yet.
You keep saying Dickens stuff of like a life lived.
And collecting things as you go, right? So
A life lived is Dickens stuff.
now I've completely lost my train of thought. So talk to me as a writer, Tori, I'm going to come to you. Like, talk to me as a writer of getting things, always observing, just getting things that you're going to put in your toolbox to use, because you write a book, right? You got to pick a pocket or two, boy, if you're going to write that book.
Yeah. So in terms of influences,
Yeah. You're reading things, you're looking at things. You got to pick a pocket or two. You got to lift some things. Andrew got it again.
And once you said pocket or two for the second time, I thought it was the first time.
I did
and
it
then I
2
waited
times.
to do it again.
so what's the question?
As you're writing, as you're becoming a writer, as you're becoming an artist, and I'll just speak for myself, I steal from everyone. That's why I watch so many performances, because I'm constantly stealing. I'm constantly watching just in everyday life. Oh, I'm doing that someday. I'm doing that, you know. Like, is it the same for writers? Are you always looking, if you're reading other books or just watching life or just doing things, are you always just cataloging something that you're going to plug into a book later?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it comes down to, like, once you move past the kind of initial, I like writing, and then I'm kind of trying mimicry, like to try to, you know, figure out how to do it. And then you move into the phase of writing where you find your own voice and you start to get comfortable with how you want to tell a story. But yeah, I mean, films that I watch, people that I meet on the street, people that I watch cross the street sometimes that I don't even get to talk to. Like, you know, I see news stories, I see like history facts, like anything. There's so many different things that are constantly coming in and just sort of soaking into that creative pool that we draw from. And it's really fun because I think, and I don't know for Philip and Jackie, I'm sure you guys have one of these too, but I kind of have the backlist in the back of my head that like someday I'd like to write a book about this. And I don't know if it'll ever happen or not, but there's like that list of things in the back of your head that's like, I'd like to write about that someday. And it's just finding the time to actually pen them all down.
How about you, Philip? Same or different?
It's probably a little different, but in general terms, very similar. Yeah. As far as influences go, I feel that every writer obviously has influences, right? I mean, there's no one who writes who has never read a story before. Sometimes it's very deliberate when you're writing, when you want to give a nod to one of your favorite writers or something like that. Sometimes it's unconscious, I think, because you have this soup of stories that's swirling around in here, and you don't even realize when you're writing your scene that you had seen that film 20 years ago, and that scene was, and then when somebody points out, you're like, oh yeah, I did watch that movie, and yeah, that does seem a lot like that scene. So I think there's a combination really of you being in this creative zone, if as it were, being in the moment of creating a story, and you don't know it's going to boil up from that soup of stories that's, you know, roiling around in there. And sometimes you realize it, sometimes you don't. But yeah, I think that it's a fun thing for me. I really enjoy when, for example, in the Wickwire Watch, when I felt the Dickens vibe there, I loved it. It was great, and it was something with a twist, and not an Oliver twist, but its own twist here, right? It was its very own take on a Dickens kind of trope, if you will, which I really loved. So there's a sort of a dialogue between the author and the influences that can go on there, where you're taking this character or this trope or whatever in a slightly different direction. You're giving it your own thing. And that brings a story to life in many ways. I think we're always engaging with older stories when we're telling stories. So, yeah.
Wow, that's absolutely true. Kay, let me come to you, because I want to move on a little bit to book 2. And
Okay.
I remember you talking about book 2. And it's like, have book 3 right there.
Yeah, I regretted not.
Yeah. I absolutely remember your video saying that. And talk to me a little bit. Something that hit me with book 2 is the tonal shift. I felt it got quite a bit. No spoilers again for anyone out there that hadn't started the series. A bit darker.
Yeah, absolutely. I've found so far each book has a little change. There's a slightly different focus. There's a slightly different tone to it, but obviously the overall story and characters are continuing on. Book 2, though, I needed to eat my feelings with chocolate after that, and then I was left with the debate, because I so wanted to jump into book 3 right away, but then, you know, Jackie's like, well, book 4 is not going to be out for like a year. I'm like, what do I do? What if book 3 ends the same? What do I do? You know, so I kind of went the happy middle point. I read book 3 around the halfway point in between when book 3 and book 4 would potentially be releasing. But yeah, I think Spider Key kind of, it ups the antes quite a bit, right? It raises those stakes. You're left on the edge of your seat. You know, I think I read it in 2 days, not even, because I needed to know. And every time I did put it down, I'm like, no, I need to come back to that. Like, I need to come back and finish it and keep reading, because I didn't want to stop. I wanted to keep going. I needed to know what would happen. And even when it did end, Jackie, how could you? I needed book 3.
Hey, come on.
So, is it purposeful, Jackie, that you're having a bit of a different tone? Do you want each book to be singular in that, with that feel? A little bit of a different feel for each one?
It's not conscious. Like I said, I do a lot of planning ahead of time with these books. The main plot points largely have stayed in place as I've gone through the series. The details can change within. You have to allow for flexibility if you feel the story going one way or the other. But I have always, any perceived change was planned. And I always knew I wanted to hit Mass Marner Library and what was going to happen there, and that was going to take things a little. And then, I'm trying not to get spoilery. What happened? What's going to happen?
Yeah. So you knew it was coming. You had it planned.
I knew it was coming. So book 4, maybe you can tell by the pictures in the corner, that is going to be a different flavor from all the other books intended, because it's something I dearly it's a genre and a theme that I dearly love.
Is it nautical?
Perhaps. And it was the right time for it in the story, and I was able to go to new places with it. So yeah, so anytime there is a tonal shift, it's because I'm exploring something new that I desperately love and want to. I guess explore is the main word. So I guess it is planned in that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, all right. For me, I remember book 2. It just seemed like you know what? I'm going for the blockbuster. There were so many amazing set pieces and amazing settings that you go to, and like these, it's like Marvel movie level set pieces that happen, and you're like, okay, the guardrails are gone. Like it was book 1. You introduce the world. Book 2, it's like, let's play in the world.
That's exactly how it goes. Or that's exactly how I planned it. That's what you do. The first book, you're setting. It's a setup. You're setting everything up. You can't. I should say that with the scope of the story that I had in mind, I could not hit every single. I couldn't reveal every secret. I couldn't show too much because there's so much more to go, and I prefer it in small bites in a series like that. So yeah, absolutely.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about, and this is some of my favorite part of the book, because I came up before I got to fantasy or back to fantasy. I love me some horror books, and there is such a great thread of that running through this series. And tell me, like, that some of the baddies, no spoiler, some of the baddies give you such a vibe of that Marley was dead. Like, they give you such that Andrew again.
Just give it to Andrew now.
You're gearing yourself up. You have tails, my friend.
I'm never playing poker with Andrew.
Andy Wizzy is on the horizon already.
Andrew Wizzius. Sir Wizzes a lot. Tell me, where was the inspiration for that? Was it just Christmas Carol? Was there some Lovecraft in your childhood? Like, where does the possession threads and these horror threads come from? Because it just grows and grows from book 1 to book 2, and I absolutely love it.
So when I was a kid, and I mean kid, I loved Edgar Allan Poe, which I'm not sure if my family knows that. Surprise. But I really enjoyed him. So that was an early influence. Dracula has always been a character that I found deeply fascinating. Of course, Marley. Yeah, absolutely. And when it comes to writing horror, all I have to do is think of what scares me.
Yeah.
There's a new villain in book 4 who is based off of one that to this day is from a children's movie, but continues to terrify the wits out of me.
Is it the children catcher?
Yes.
How did I know? That guy is because it scares the whiz out of anyone. Yes.
He's terrifying. So when I needed a villain for 4, I thought, who terrifies me?
See, wavelength, Jackie. Yeah,
we're on it. So yeah, I think of what scares me, and Marley always scared me, always. And yeah, I love the creepy vibe in books. I don't like to go full like slasher horror usually, and my books are not super bloody or anything like that. But the undercurrent is more terrifying, I think.
As it is that Lovecraftian, it's like almost like what you don't see.
Exactly.
But it's atmospheric and it's creepy and it's so well done, and it just kind of comes suddenly, like sometime in book 1 and 2 anyway. It's like there's oh wow, we're going there, like it's such a genre blender all of a sudden, and I absolutely love it. I'm gonna get the chat into one of these. I'm gonna see how I can do, because obviously Andrew's blown this game wide open. So I've got to get the chat involved. I know another musical you love, Jackie, is The Wizard of Oz. I know that's your second favorite.
Yes.
Okay? So I'm talking story. I'm going to give away something for whoever can chime in when they recognize a lyric from Wizard of Oz. It will be coming up.
In the chat?
In the chat. Someone in the
Okay.
chat, just chime in on the chat with jazz hands or the Wiz or Wizard. Just chime in when you recognize that lyric from Wizard of Oz, and I got something special for you. Andrew, talk to me about what the genre blending of this, how the horror fits in, how you like it, other types of genre that kind of get mashed in the blender that is Jacquelyn Hagen.
I mean, it's this just sort of, I don't know. It's, what's the word I'm looking for? Gas lamp. It takes this gas lamp setting and then it brings in almost an historical fiction feel, but then it also brings in a ghost story, and then it brings in, of course, like magic and fantasy, and there's just, it's this, literally, she took all the best parts of some of my favorite things, dumped them in a blender, and hit just pulse multiple times until you got this beautiful slurry that is just delicate on the palate. It just works. I don't know. It's so good. Wickwire Watch is still one of my favorite indie books of all time. It's probably in my top 20. Maybe my top 10. I haven't done that video, and I'm scared to do so.
Yeah.
But no, it's such a good just blend of all of these different elements that makes it incredibly special and accessible as well, because it's not really elevated prose, it's accessible prose that anybody can. I would give Wickwire Watch to somebody who was 13 years old, because again, like Jackie said, there's some horror elements to it, but it's nothing grotesque, it's nothing untoward or unseemly. It's very just digestible. And where a lot of the horror elements come in is it comes in for the emotional punch rather than the visceral one, which I really appreciate. Because if you want to make me think about a book for a long time, you're going to come in with the emotional gut punch. And I think Jackie did that amazingly well.
Yeah. Same question, Kay. Talk to me about the genre blending that happens in this series. It's so singular. I mean, I love genre blending. I read a lot of it, but this is just, there's a different vibe to this one.
It's definitely unique. And I personally, when I was reading the Wickwire Watch, I actually didn't really notice the genre elements until after I had finished, and I needed to kind of think back and write my review and really delve into what made it so unique. And it's funny because I'm not a horror person either. I'm a chicken straight out. So it was, like Andrew said, it's a level of horror that, a younger person can read, or a chicken like myself can read and still go to bed at night, but leaves you questioning. And the gas lamp setting mixed with that horror, but then you also get elements that are just epic in ways and like action movie quality at times. And all of these things that she ended up incorporating, I think, is what makes it unique. It's hard to compare it to other books for that reason. But again, when I was reading it, nothing immediately stood out aside from the gas lamp. And then later I had to go back and go, okay, what was this? Where did that come from? And think about it more. Otherwise, I think you blended it, Jackie, so seamlessly that, you made it, for me, more about the characters and what they were going through, and the psychological elements in there as well, because the psychology of the characters, what they're going through. Every time you answer a question, it opens a can of worms, and I have 10 more questions. Right? So it's that, I think my focus was so strong on that the genre aspects just felt so natural as a result.
We are here to celebrate Jackie tonight.
Oh, Pooh Bear!
And she specifically asked for an appearance of Mr. Pooh Bear.
He's so cute.
You Pooh. And Pooh got all of Jacob's birthday gift money, right?
I was out of budget for Jacob's birthday because Mr. Pooh needed a few things. So Mr. Pooh is a huge fan, Jackie. Huge fan.
I'm a huge fan of him.
So he had to come up and say hello to everybody. Okay, there you go.
So I have a question for all of you, because this word has been brought up a couple of times, and I'm very curious for each of you. What do you think qualifies a book to be called, or a series to be called epic?
Oh, that's a good one.
Ooh,
Dr.
that's-
Chase with the PhD, you take that one.
Yeah, Phil can go first.
So I was in a conversation over on Josh's channel, Red Fury Books, for like a couple hours, and it was with AP Canavan and Bridger from the Library Ladder, and the four of us tried to define epic fantasy and utterly failed. For so you know,
I did watch that.
you could talk about scale. I think that's the first thing that most people think of is scale. I like to refer to, and this is my personal taste perhaps, but I really do appreciate the essays written by Stephen Donaldson about epic fantasy. I would refer people to his essays, but one of the things that he says in those essays about epic fantasy, and I did a video on these essays once upon a time a couple of years ago, but I would just advise to read the essays. I think they're brilliant. But I like what he says about epic fantasy being the literature of reintegration, which is to say, we live in a world where many people in our times feel that the universe does not have any inherent meaning to it. There's no intrinsic meaning to the universe, that we feel alienated and isolated, and that humans often feel ridiculous and purposeless. Whereas you look at epic fantasy and you look at the stories, the older stories, and one of the primary purposes of those stories was, in fact, to empower the listeners who go on this vicarious journey with the characters and feel at the end of it, the characters gain a sense of meaning, and we, the readers, but through them, feel a sense of meaning and empowerment. So that is one of the things I love about epic fantasy, is that it is a genre that, yes, bleak things can happen, and there will be loss along the way and sorrow. But at the end of the day, there will be enough hope and triumph for you, the reader, and the characters as well, to feel a sense of meaning that you've had to just craft it with sheer grit and determination. But there it is at the end of that story. So that was just something I appreciated about Stephen Donaldson's essays.
What about you, Kay? What would you think makes up epic fantasy?
Can I say same answer? No.
Yeah, right? It's like,
Ditto.
How do you follow
first
that?
of all, yeah, I know you're going to send me hate mail for making you follow that.
No, for me, I always thought of it as, in the first thing Philip said was scale, was the grandeur of the world. And in some cases, you could look at it as the drama, the intensity of certain circumstances that these characters go through, because everything is quite blown up in the intensity, the stakes, and the circumstances that they're put through. And like you said, Philip, going through that journey with the characters is something you don't get to that level in other genres, and is what makes it stand out. But yeah, the first thing that comes to mind is that grandeur, the intensity of it all. When you're digging really deep into a typical epic fantasy, the first thing that comes to mind is those dial big battles, your life's on the line. That's what really comes to mind. And the intensity of that does not stop throughout the entirety of the first 3 books so far with Jackie's, right? The lives are on the line, and that intensity does not stop.
Yeah. And I'd add maybe the sense of just quickly wanted to grab a moment to say a sense of fellowship too. I think.
Oh yeah.
And when Kay was talking about the stakes and everything, I was thinking, yeah, this is something that we go through together, right? So that sense of fellowship, I think, is important.
That's a good point.
How about you, Andrew? Define epic.
So for me, I'm going to have, of course, a much more basic answer than Philip. But for me, it's breadth, it's scope, usually I would define epic fantasy as not being set on Earth, involving a journey with, of course, a fellowship, some sort of lesson to be learned across the journey, whether that's friendship or family or the family you choose. There is, fighting for what is right or what is right, or, evil will never triumph, things of that nature. I mean, I'm a huge Wheel of Time fan. So for me, epic fantasy is $14. I'm kidding. But
Get to work, Jackie.
Yeah.
double the length. Really stretch it out. But for me, epic fantasy, it's just a journey set in a different world where we can learn through this lens of storytelling.
Tori?
Well, what can I add to that? I think for me, and I'll use one of my favorite series that I think definitely is relevant based on similarities with Jackie's in some ways. I'm a big fan of Erickson's Malazan Book of the Fallen. And one of the things that I have kind of studied in the way that he utilizes epic is it's kind of a reverse diamond in a way in my head, where you have this massive scope, as we talked about before, of the world itself changing drastically in some way. And it slowly is filtering down to how that world shift is impacting the intimate lives of our characters down here, right? And one of the things that I love about Riverfall Chronicles and Malazan both is that epic scope, it's just so vast. There's so much going on. There's so many different peoples and shifts and we're seeing the perspectives of all these different characters. And yet in those perspectives of the individual, there's an intimacy there where you're seeing it from all the way down, from the bigger picture all the way down to the perspectives of the characters. And there's a quote from Fonda Lee that she has in her Jade Shards short stories collection that I really liked, and I'm going to butcher the actual, I'm paraphrasing, but essentially what she said was that epic is often concerned with the battles and the armies and the nations and all of those things. And it's important that we don't lose sight of the epic quality of a single life. Mm. And I think epic can be both of those things, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say if I would take a crack at it, for me, it's like, I think when I think of epic fantasy, I have to think about a world where they are at a fulcrum point or a turning point where the status quo will no longer hold or stand. Mm-hmm. And there is oftentimes a fellowship called by destiny for that history of that time in history at that moment, often from humble beginnings, to completely reorganize and restructure what is defined as reality going forward. So, again, no spoilers, but there's such an amazing, and this is why, for me, I see so many times of that wonderful social mirror held up in epic fantasy for us, because we have lived through those fulcrum points many times as a culture and people all over the world. So there is that fulcrum point in the first book where things come to a head, and after this, nothing will be the same. Nothing can stand there. The status quo will no longer hold. So going forward, just like Tori said, who is going to be called up into these moments of destiny and make a new reality, or make a new world for us all to live in?
Wow. Excellent answers.
Yeah, I don't know if there was any Dickens in there, but it was very beautiful.
There was no Dickens in there. Does anyone in the chat have a question that you would like to throw out for Jackie or anyone on the panel? I will absolutely do my best to get at it. Otherwise, I'm gonna try to be just a nothing with my head all full of stuff and have to come up with questions. So let's see, what question can I come up with?
I will say.
Go ahead. Save me from myself.
I'm seeing comments in the chat about audiobook. So my wonderful audiobook narrator, he has had to take a step back from recording due to health issues, but he is slowly getting back into it. So there is no solid set date for book 4 audio, but we are both fingers crossed. Both hands, fingers crossed, whatever, that we will have it hopefully at the end of this year, but can't be counted on. But that is the hope. So it could be a little bit of a wait for the audiobook for 4.
And who's your narrator again? I know the name, but it's
Wayne Farrell.
Yes.
Yes.
Kate, you interviewed him, right?
She
I did, yeah.
Yeah,
it was-
he's a wonderful gentleman.
absolutely. It was a great chat.
He's amazing.
There it was.
There it is,
I was waiting
Daniel.
for somebody to say it.
Ah,
Daniel finally okay, Daniel, hit my about page. Email me how I can get to you. I'm going to send our amazing friends at Inspiration Station, who makes all of our laser etched wooden bookmarks for our patrons. They sent me this. This is a book valet. You can put it by your bed, and when you're going to bed, just throw your book here to hold your place. And it's got a place for your drink, and it's got a little place for your
Wow.
glasses. And this is all wood laser etched. And
That's
you're going to
cool.
get one that looks exactly like this branded as Talking Story. I'm going to send this to you thanks to our good friends at Inspiration Station. So hit me up, go to my About page, email me with your info, and I will make sure you get your own book, Valet.
It was the stuffing in his head.
yeah.
It was the stuffing, yeah. So,
Congrats, Daniel.
so Jacquelyn, okay, I think I've heard from other 5 and 7, like how many books is Riverfall going to be?
6 or 7.
Okay.
Yes, 4 are done. So not too many more to go. Yep.
Okay.
Have you
And
already
that's
started
his-
5?
I have started 5, yes. Yes.
How far?
No time for. So I'm in the plotting outlining stage.
Okay.
Yes.
So we're early days.
So we're early days, but I anticipate it will be released this time next year.
Okay, cool.
Nice.
Because I saw your sister complain about 3 years between 2 and 3.
Oh yeah. When I was not doing indie publishing, I will take my sweet time doing it. But now I am committed and focused. This takes all of my free time and
We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate you guys. But,
We will thank you with money.
oh,
So-
I do want to take my time with it though, so it might be another year.
What is that dividing line between it maybe 6 or 7? Is it just what the story needs? Is it you want to move on to what's next because it's knocking on the door of your brain, or what is it?
Honestly, it's because the story keeps surprising me. And so for example, I had the outline already for book 4 before I started writing it. Everything is planned. Of course, like I said before, allowing for changes in between, here or there if it's needed. But I had it all planned, and I started writing it, and I got halfway through the outline, and I look at my page count in Word, and it says 700 pages, and I was, I was like, oh no, okay, got to pivot. So that became the first half had to become 4. But that was not the plan. So that's why I say 6 or 7, because there's every reason it could happen again that way. You just have to allow for it. And not to say that there's no padding. I mean, I'm not trying to stretch this stuff out. It's that it's so dense, and there's so much going on, and so many wonderful things to explore and take care of. And it just, I do have an end goal and an end vision in mind that I will hit, and I really don't think it'll go any longer than 7, but that's the plan.
So you want to leave space for happy accidents. If a character grabs you, like Dr. Chase for book 3 said, the character grabbed him by the shirt and said, I'm in and I'm important and I'm doing this. You want to give yourself space if that happens, at the same time having everything planned.
Absolutely. That's it. That's it exactly.
Gotcha. The other 2 writers on our panel, like I know, Tori, I know you're working on book 2, and I'm reading Bloodstones in August next month. It is on my stack, and I can't wait to read it. How's the writing going on book 2?
Good. I'm in about 10,000 words to the draft, and first draft is my slow stage because I edit as I go a lot. But yeah, it's going really well, and it was kind of like Jackie. It's always such a boost when you get back in with your characters. Hey guys, I'm back. So yeah, it feels really good to be back in the world.
Dr. Chase, now, sequel or prequel that you're working on? It's a sequel, right?
Yeah, it's a sequel. Yep.
Darkness.
I need to start Dan.
Oh my! You have to start it, Dan.
I've got all three. Philip was kind enough to send me book 3.
Oh,
Trust me, it's on the list.
It is so good. So how is it going, Dr. Chase? Is the muse speaking or is it grind?
Oh, the muse is speaking. I mean, I'm actually in the
Nice.
editing stage, really. So it's called Wild Darkness Gathers, and it's a sequel that takes place 15 years or so after the trilogy ends. And it's some familiar characters, if you've read the trilogy, some new characters as well. But it's a little bit of a different thing. It's a shorter book, actually, than any book in the trilogy. Those were quite a bit longer. You were talking about a 700-page book, and my third book is about that.
Yeah,
So,
it is.
yeah. But this one is only about 90,000 words at the moment. It might end up being a little longer because I'm just editing, but so yeah, considerably shorter. But I'm having a blast. I love writing, and I might be an oddball, but I actually love editing even more than the initial just getting the ideas out onto paper. Yeah. Oh yeah.
So Amy did ask a question, and I was kind of going to get to this with Riverfall because it is populated with the most amazing characters. Who is now? I'm up to book 2. Andrew's up to book 2. Kay, Tori, caught up, waiting for book 4. Dr. Chase has just started with book 1 as he was judging. So far as you're into it, who is everyone's favorite character? And this is hard to pick a favorite character, Amy. Thanks for the question.
It's Inkwell.
Yeah.
Inkwell.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a complex character, but I love him.
Yeah, I'd say Ink is the immediate favorite, and he's the first one that comes to mind. There's quite a few characters that I do love, like the Plumsley sisters. I adore them as well. They're so sweet. But Ink he's a standout.
I could join Tori in the Caradoc fan club. I mean, she's the president, but maybe I could be the treasurer or something.
Absolutely.
You have to take up a stance against Alan.
Yes.
I'm joining in on Caradoc. I think that's it's like that tortured hero kind of thing. I mean, once you get through book 2, especially like Inkwell. I love Inkwell. Inkwell. But okay, let's say this group of characters, this family of characters, and this is so well blurbed, or it's not a blurb, whatever you call it, Jacquelyn, that trust no one. Like by book 2, I don't even trust Inkwell.
Fair.
That's very fair.
Does he trust himself?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, by book 2, you're going to be like, okay, that kid's holding way too close to the vest. Like, I'm in on Caradoc. I'm in.
Caradoc, I think, would be a close second for me.
Yeah.
I think he's mysterious enough, and I don't get as much page time with him, which is why he doesn't take my number 1.
I would say a very, 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 oh man, and she may overtake it, is who's the librarian? I can't remember her name.
Oh, she was so cool.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know if she shows up again.
Yes.
She could very well take the prize from me. Because
She's a big favorite with readers, yeah.
She was everything. She was dropping the pearls of wisdom like it didn't even matter. Oh, she was amazing. I loved that character.
Yeah, Caradoc is definitely my favorite because the tortured hero type is like my favorite type of character ever, all the time.
Yeah.
But past Caradoc, I do also love Ink, obviously, because he's my, artful Dodger boy and I adore him. But 2 characters that really just always get me in the books that are a little bit quieter off of the top, kind of crust of characters would be, I'm a big fan of Simon. I love Simon.
Wow.
Love
Okay.
Simon. And also Harriet.
I didn't expect that.
Yeah, because and I don't think it's really a spoiler to say that, Simon is like the friendship that he has with Caradoc. He's the stability, and like that, I think that person gets overlooked way too often in storytelling. And I love Simon. I love him to bits and pieces. And I also love Harriet. Harriet is another one of my top probably 4 characters. I love her.
Harriet's really good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Harriet's
I do love,
incredibly complex, and I love it.
I do, being a performer in the past, I did the Plumley sisters really speak to me as well. Yeah, I have to say
They are lovely.
they're pretty great. Yeah, I think and in book 2, I mean, just heroic. A lot of heroism in book 2. Let's talk. Okay, look. There are cliffhangers, and then there is book 2. Okay. There are very few books where I'm just left going, please, sir, I want some more. Oh, Tori got one.
Give me one, Andrew.
Okay, fine. I would say it was a tie, but I'll let Tori have it.
I saw Tori. Come on, Andrew, you got 6. I mean, I of course, no spoilers. There's a lot of people here in the chat that haven't started yet, and I'm seeing some want to wait until the whole series is out, and I get that. But what I will say is Jacquelyn is pretty prolific. I think with book 4 coming out, she has proven that she can find the chair, and I don't think she's going to pull a disappearing act on us. I don't think these characters would let her, because you would have that waking dream moment again, and someone would be standing there.
Yes, absolutely, or all of them. Yes.
Yeah.
No, they wouldn't let me rest until this is done. They won't.
Yeah.
I have a lot of love in my heart. Yeah, absolutely. And I love cliffhangers. So I am not ashamed to tell you that the end of 4,
Are you kidding?
Rude.
Ah, Jackie.
Heads up. So
Prepare for
Jackie.
some strongly worded messages.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm ready.
One
It
or
can't
two.
be like book 2. Is it as heavy duty as book 2?
Do you really want me to tell you? Do you
Just say
really
yes or
want
no.
me to-
It's heavy duty.
I say no, but
Okay.
close.
Oh.
Okay.
Rude.
Yeah.
We need an emotional support group.
Yes.
That's all I'm saying.
She needs an emergency chocolate supply.
I've got it. Don't worry. Always ready. Chocolate, ice cream. I've got it on hand, but emotional support in other ways. Tori, we'll need to talk.
Got you.
I mean, okay, and this is a question because I haven't read book 3. And Kate, your favorite character is Ink, right?
Yep.
Okay, maybe you can answer this for me. Both you can, because you're caught up. Does Ink? Are we having a time cut between books? Do we ever see Ink get a little bit older, or is this all happening pretty quickly? All the running through the way books 1 and 2 have been.
I think they pick up pretty seamlessly one after another. There's not a
Okay.
whole lot of time
Yep.
in between them, significant enough that he would age like years at a time, right? So we're still kind of seeing him in the same age. If I'm right there, Jackie.
You are. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So this leads me into my next question. Say this goes 6 books or 7 books, Jackie. Are there characters visiting you in the morning when you're waking up? Is there something that's knocking already on your unconscious mind while you're waking up that is
You are edging on the line so close, John.
Is there something that is starting to say what's next for you after this series is over, or is it just like an undigested bit of potato? And I didn't even write that down. That was just for you, Andrew.
Oh, I think it's undigested bit of beef.
Oh well, I didn't write that one down. Give an old man a break.
Yeah,
You're probably right. You probably think it is beef.
They're in the far distance. There are a couple of new characters waving at me very far away, but my whole world right now is with others at the moment.
Is it? Do you know is it in this world? Is it an all new world? Is it, or have you even taken that much time to think about it?
No definite answer for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will accept that.
Yeah.
So all of your mental energy is on just Riverfall right now.
Absolutely. Yep.
You're not even planning new series. It's all focused in on.
I'm focused on this 100%, but I have a little bit of comfort in knowing that I do have. There's more in me. Than, I'll have more to work on when this is over. But yeah, right now it's everything. Yeah.
Awesome.
I do want this to be a celebration of independently published stuff. So I just want to turn it over to the panel a little bit. Andrew, you read a lot of indie stuff. You put me to shame. You and Tori and Kay, all three of you put me to shame. I try and do one a month, and I'm finding that's woefully not enough. But I just can't read anymore. Talk to me about it as a movement, as an artistic movement. Like, what does it do for you? How is it different? What does it say to you? Indie published stuff as opposed to the trad stuff that we would pick up at any bookstore.
Well, there's a lot more risks being taken in indie, just across the board. Right now, like, trad has what sells. If something is known to sell, that's what trad is going to publish. And they allow for a little bit of variation. Like Travis Baldry, like, he was one of the first cozies, but he wasn't even picked up until Legends and Lattes blew up.
Yeah.
So if you want what's kind of on the is the word I'm looking for, the foreground
tried and
of
true.
up and coming.
The
If
vanguard.
you want the innovation, you need to
Yeah.
look towards indie, because that's where the innovation is going to be. I mean, Dungeon Crawler Carl just got picked up on trad,
Yeah.
which is mind-numbing because it's so incredibly popular. But it's also lit RPG, and that's risky.
Right.
And so,
Well, they picked up the
trad-
first three. I think they
yeah,
only
they only
picked up the first three.
There's 6 out.
Yeah.
And so that trad is very risk averse. They're about making money, whereas I think with indie you're going to find a lot of people who know, unfortunately, that it's a giant risk and you have to love telling stories, and you're going to get people who are just going to say screw it and tell the story, whether they make money or not.
Yeah. Yeah. Kay, what would you say? Because I always tune into your channel to find the new indie stuff that's coming out. You are such an amazing supporter of this movement. So, what is it about it? How does it speak to you?
First of all, thank you. Yeah, it's very similar to what Andrew said. I was kind of getting bored with a lot of the trad stories because there was so many similarities. But what I found with indie was that authors could really take their creativity and just go with it. They take those risks, but they also make the worlds they want to make. You know, like we were talking about Jackie's series here, where I have a hard time putting a comparison on a book that is just like this. Right? It's not unique. It stands out. And I found that for a lot of indie books, it's the same. There's so many unique spins on military fantasy. There's so many unique spins on tropes that even if I don't particularly care for one type of trope, the way an author does it might just suck me in, and I love it. So I love that authors have that creative freedom and they can just tell the story they want to tell, dig in really deep if they want to, and really make it the world, the characters their own, and take readers on that journey. But I will say I do need to step away as well. So I just want to say thank you so much for having me as a guest here, and congrats again, Jackie.
Thank you so much, Kane. Thank you for all
Kay,
your
thank you
support.
so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Bye, Kay.
Bye, Kay.
Tori, as an indie published author, what was some of your experience? How fulfilling was it? How rough was it? Would you recommend it? What was the journey like? What does the movement mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, we could have a 2-hour conversation just on that. I've been an indie author since I was 14, and it's really a powerful way to, like we've talked about before, there's a lot of kind of wide open spaces in indie, and I'm not a city girl by any means. I am a farm girl. I love my wide open spaces, and that is also true when it comes to storytelling. I like to think of the sky as the limit in whatever story happens to be, you know, in my heart and soul at any given time. I want the freedom to just tell the story, to dig into the characters, and to make my own decisions about it. And you do have to wear a lot of hats. I mean, Philip, Jackie, you know, you guys know how it's a lot. Like, it's a lot. There's so many different pieces that go into that, because you're not just the writer. You have to assemble your own team. You have to make sure that everything's going in at the right times. You have to, get your cover and your map and your just there's so many people. You have to organize beta readers. It's a lot. So for anybody who's, jumping into indie, that freedom is so invaluable. It's so invaluable. And it's a lot to learn, but the beautiful part about that is that we exist in a community that is incredibly supportive. Indie authors are so supportive of each other, and that is something that I really love. It doesn't feel like a competition, right? We're all here because we love telling stories, and we're constantly selling each other's books everywhere that we go. And like, oh, if you like, really solid, some classic epic fantasy, like I know a guy, like go check out the Adan trilogy, Gaslamp. Oh, I got some of that for you. Like it's great because it's a really powerful forward momentum for the industry. And, like there was a comment in the chat, we're doing a lot of the initial trend setting for TradPub now. And that's also really exciting because I think I'm a big believer in the unifying of the two. I think that, it's really cool to be able to see trad and indie authors really kind of mingling a lot more, and just we're all coming together over our love of storytelling. And I don't know, it's a really, really incredible community. And I would encourage anybody who's considering Indie Pub to just get involved, start talking to people on whatever social media platform works best for you, and just keep your eyes and ears open and learn, and just start making relationships, because it's an amazing place to be.
Dr. Chase, what would you say? Same question.
Yeah, well, first of all, I think Andrew and Kay and Tori said it beautifully. All three of them had some excellent points there. I made the decision to self-publish after having been fortunate enough to work with an agent at a literary agency. And I initially thought I would try to go the traditional route. And it was a process that I'm glad I went through, because I really did enjoy working with that agent. And ultimately, he did not find a publisher for me. And it took years, though. I was at a point really when he made a pitch during the pandemic, and which was unfortunate timing in many ways, because everything had come to just an absolute standstill in all over the place. But publishing was very badly affected by the pandemic. And so it was a bad timing, and it took like a year even for the publisher to acknowledge that my agent had sent something to them. So it was
Oh my gosh, a year?
Yeah. It was really kind of just a everyday thing, hoping something might happen. And it gets to a point where you're like, I think I should just forget that this has happened right now.
Yeah.
Finally made the decision to self-publish, and it was so empowering. It was so liberating. And I realized I should have done this a long time ago, actually. So what Tori finished with, I absolutely agree. I would encourage people. And it is, and as Tori knows, and as Jacquelyn knows, it's a lot of work. So you have to have that passion. You have to be absolutely crazy to do this, because we don't make much money at it, most of us. It's not about the money. It is not about the fame. We do this because we love stories, and we have to do it. We have to get these stories out of us. And it is just a ton of work. We're fortunate that we live in a time when we have freelance editors, copy editors, and developmental editors, and we have artists that we can pay to make beautiful covers for us. And I think self-published and indies is actually knocking it out of the park when it comes to covers and stuff.
Oh, some gorgeous stuff.
Yeah. Cover designers, map makers, you name it. You can get what the traditional publishers would have done for authors back in the day. Now that stuff is all out there. And you do have to take advantage of it. And I believe very strongly that as much as you can afford, and I know it's not easy because these things are not cheap either. Let's be real. It can cost $5,000 to $10,000 to publish a book, to self-publish a book, if you're paying for all those things. So it's not cheap, and not everyone can do that. But to the extent that you can, try to take advantage of it. And Tori's right, be part of the broader community. and you'll meet people. Maybe if you can't afford an established freelance developmental editor, well, maybe there's somebody out there who's just getting started and has lower rates. So be part of the community, know what's going on, work with people as much as you can, and I really do believe it's important to get those neutral eyes and as much as possible professional eyes, because yes, your mother is going to say your book is great, of course, right?
Absolutely. She better.
right. I know there's exceptions. I think Joe Abercrombie's mother is famously very, very critical of his writing, and in a good way. But you know what I mean. So it's just it's a process that you can get into, and you can make the most of, and it's wonderful. As long as you have that passion, you're going to need it. You're really going to need it to carry you through all that.
Jacquelyn, I'm going to give you the last word on this. Book 4 coming out. An amazing series. What was the indie publishing experience like for you? You've been through SPIFBO. You have your 4th book coming out. What's the road been like?
I think Philip really nailed it when he used the word empowering. Like that is the word I can think of. It is in every sense of the word. I absolutely love having creative control on every aspect, and it is a lot of work. That's no doubt. And you absolutely have to come at it with your whole heart, and learn as much as you can. But I would not, looking back, I wouldn't trade it for anything. I wouldn't have gone a different route even if I could, knowing what I know now. It's absolutely wonderful. So it's just been positive through and through. I mean, you're gonna hit snags here and there, and
sure.
the like the Goodreads community, but you have to take everything in stride with a big grain of salt when it comes to that kind of thing. But largely, it's just been extremely positive, and the community's been wonderful. So yeah, I definitely encourage anyone who's thinking about it to go for it, and yeah, 100%.
I think your covers are gorgeous too, Jackie.
Well, thank you. Yeah, Stuart Bench does my covers. Yeah.
Yeah,
Really
every time you have one come out, it's like, oh, that's pretty. So, and speaking of covers, I'm holding my breath, waiting for artwork from Broken Binding for their Dan trilogy coming out. This is extremely exciting for me that you are going to have special editions like that, Philip.
It's a dream. I have to pinch myself, I'm really excited myself, and I knew that I would want to have some kind of special hardcover edition, so I didn't make one earlier. I just had the ebook and the paperback, and to be able to do it with the Broken Binding is just beyond my wildest dreams. I'm really thrilled about the whole process.
Congrats for that.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations,
we're coming up
Philip.
on an hour and a half, guys. I'm going to probably wrap it up pretty quick. Does any of the panel, anyone in chat have questions or anything before we wrap it up? Big congratulations, Jackie, today. What a special, special day. Yay. Thank you so much for allowing us to celebrate with you.
Of course. Thank you all again. I mean, I can't say it enough about how kind you are and supportive, and how much I appreciate it. It has meant everything to me. It's meant the world to me. Each one of you. Really, seriously, and thank you for what you continue to do for the community. So yeah, just big thank you.
Well, it's easy when your work means everything to us. Congrats to all the winners. Hit Jackie up, hit me up if you've won anything. Andrew, what can I say, man? you didn't give anyone.
Steamrolled.
You just steamrolled it.
Tori got one by half a second.
Yes, thank you so much. I will be showing that off very quickly, Dennis. Thank you.
Dennis is a self-pub author too, is right?
Dennis has the most amazing covers too. Have you seen his?
Yeah, I saw those on your
pretty.
channel and Mike's. I have the Kindle Unlimited downloaded.
They are very, very pretty, and I hope to start them really soon. And I hope to get back to Riverfall very soon. And I just wrapped up Edan, and I'm doing Bloodstones next month. So
Those guns are really good.
I'm paddling as quick as I can.
You're doing great, John.
Tori, hey, as soon as I read it, I'm going to want to talk to you, I'm sure, because I fully, after what I hear from everyone else, I'm going to have to hit you up and talk with you.
I'm here.
Everyone in the chat, everyone on the panel, thank you so much for coming out with me tonight. Thank you so much for rescheduling. I apologize for having to put you through all that. It meant so much to me, Jacquelyn, for you to reach out and ask to do this here on my channel. I absolutely love this series. I love everyone on the panel. You guys are so amazing. Meeting all of you since I've started this has just been life-changing for me. I
There we go. Gotta go deeper.
There we go.
Okay. I can't wait to see what we all together get up to next. If you haven't started Riverfall, I absolutely implore you, if you like a mystery, if you like epic fantasy, if you like a bit of Neo-Dickensian prose that makes you go back and read some lines a couple times because they are so beautiful, if you love characters that for some reason they're getting under your skin even though you don't know what their motivations are and you can't trust them no matter what corner they're hiding behind, you can't get them out of their mind, this series is for you. This series has a little bit of magic in a little bit of different ways in every corner that is for everyone. I'm telling you right now, try this series out. You're not going to regret it. Thanks everyone for coming out. My name is John. Thank you, Jacquelyn. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Philip. Thank you, Tori. Thank you, Kay, who had to leave early. We'll catch you guys so soon. Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Jacquelyn.